What's up everybody, in this video tutorial I would like to show you how quickly add MobX state management library to your React Native application. So let's start with our template. This is basically an app which has items with title and ID. You can add new item, you can modify previously created one, you can delete it. So basically it, and let's implement the logic with MobX library. Let's go to the documentation on the mobx.js.org and go to installation section. So for our app we need MobX itself and also MobX React Lite. And now we can start to create our store. So let's create store directory and index.js file in it. Let's start with root store class. And inside this root store we will have our classes. So let's create substore which will be named classes store. And classes store will contain items of type class item type. So basically ID and title. And there will be constructor. That's fine for now. Let's add classes store, and in the constructor let's create new classes store object. So this will be our root store class. Let's also create instance of it. Let's name it root store. Now we can create the context, React.js context. So let's name it store context, create context, and root store will be initial value. Let's export it. Also export store provider, which will be store context provider, and also let's create a hook, use store, use context, sorry, yeah, import use context from React, and it will be return store context, sorry, it will be like this. Okay, looks good. Now we can add it to our app component. So let's wrap everything with store provider. And it requires value, and value will be our root store instance. Now we can replace our demi data classes and import root store from use store hook and actually use classes from our root store. Actually, we can set default value for our classes store to see it's actually working. So we will remove it later. Let's take a look. Yeah, if we reload, it correctly appears here. Now we can actually start at MobX. And for this, let's go to the documentation. And here, the main concepts, we have state, actions, and derivations. Basically, on following example, you can see the state is something that represents data, some objects, string, boolean, etc. Actions, this is functions that mutate this data, and derivations, it's something you can get from data. Some function, some value that once state updated, the output of this function updated as well. So you can make these fields and functions make observable and mark each field you want to make observable or make function as an action. But also we can do it automatically for all our items in the class, just to use makeAutoObservable and pass this in it, and this basically it. Now in edit class screen we can implement on save. So once we do something with our store, like with our class item, we can update it inside the store. So let's import our classes from useStore hook, and on save let's create update item ID will be ID of the item we received, or just value of the data time. So item ID, and title will be our state value of our text field. So let's back to our classes store and create function which will be action in terms of MobX, and let's pass item class item type. Let's name it new item. And let's first of all check if we have such item in our items list. If item ID equal new item ID, and then if found item we will replace old item with new with map function. So if item ID just return new item, otherwise return item as it was before. And else if we didn't find this item, it will be new item. So just add new item. And now we can edit, but you see nothing happened because we also need to observe those changes in the home screen class. So we need to import observer from MobX React Lite library and wrap our component with this observer function. And now if we reload our app, we can edit, save it, and you see changes immediately appear here. We also now can create new one, and it's appear again. But if we reload the app, everything disappears. So what else we want to do? We would like to persist our state. To persist our state, I will use mobx-sync library. Let's just go to the GitHub page and do yarn add mobx-sync. And let's back to our store file. Here we would like to use async trunk from mobx-sync. Okay, it's already installed, so we can use it. And now we can create trunk from async trunk, which receive store as first parameter, our root store, and then for storage I would like to use async storage. And import async storage from, let's check it, yeah, it's from React Native async storage library. Okay, now it's good. And let's take a look the doc. Yeah, we can create new trunk, and then we need to init wait trunk to init and then render our app with store. So let's go to our app.tsx file, and now let's add use effect with empty dependency, so it will invoke on start. Create regenerate functions, which will be async. And inside we'll await trunk init. Let's add import for trunk from store. And let's set isStore loaded to true. And by default it will be false. So while our store regenerated, we need to invoke it. We will see this loading function. Let's take a look how it looks. Oh, sorry, false. And now when it's loaded, we will set true. And everything will be restored from the async storage. Let's also implement delete function. Delete item. Item to remove plus item function. And basically just filter item ID not equal item to remove ID, and in edit screen on delete classes, delete item, pass item. And maybe last thing, just remove initial state for class stores. And now we can delete, nothing happened. Oh yeah, we forgot to navigate back once we delete the item, so this is fine. And you see we can reload and our result is persisted, and we can add it again. We can add gym, then modify it, and then reload the app, and it's still there. So that's it. If you have more questions about the MobX, let me know in the comments, and probably I will make more videos about it. See you in the new videos.